is the real Black Swan of ballet, having shown great determination to get where she is today.
At the age of 14, she moved to Russia, where she had to catch up on 5 years of training in just one, which she did.
Someone said a year ago about me, "Oh, she's very ambitious." Of course I'm ambitious. I've spent so much of my life in Russia. I've, spent so little time with my family. Now I have to prove that I did it for a reason. That I was over there for all those years and I can bring something back to this country.
Monica, you certainly brought something back to the country.
I did, yeah. Myself.
Yeah. Did you have to sacrifice a lot? I'd imagine so.
I did. Well, mainly it was just not being with my family. Although I didn't understand it at the time, I understand that now, that I missed out in all those years. So
you're only a child, you were 14.
I know, I really don't know. Like, I know the reason they sent me off was because my dad was in the Air Corps and he kind of saw the benefit to it. But I don't think... And I know I didn't think that I would ever make a career out of it. It was like, let's go and let's see what happens,
Yeah. It must have been kind of exciting as well, 14 years of age, right? I'm off to Russia.
It was more scary.
Terrifying.
Coming up to the time of the flight and like packing the bag. The bag was 60 kilos. I myself weighed 45. So the bag was bigger than I was. But coming up to the time, I realised what I got myself into, but I wasn't going to say no. I wasn't going to not go. Like, it was a huge opportunity.
What did your friends, like you were only after leaving primary school,
I was
by 2 years, just in
yeah.
second. What did your friends think of you heading off?
They all thought I was nuts, and one of the teachers in the school, my science teacher, because I had a particular flair for science, she thought I was bonkers. But I said to her, I'll keep up my study, and if I come back, I will, I'll go back in and I'll throw myself back into work. It's kind of like a year off, but just a little bit earlier than most,
Yeah. And did you keep up your study?
I did, yeah. I did the equivalent of my leaving through Russian. It was very difficult.
Wow.
Did you have any Russian before you left?
No, I had nothing. I had like hello, which is not an easy word to say. And no, I had no Russian. No.
How were you treated as a young Irish girl in Russia?
Well, by the Russians we were slightly ridiculed. But I don't think they meant it deliberately. One, they were all young people, so anybody that's out of the loop or out of, not the norm is laughed at. And we were openly laughed at. And they used to open the door when we were training, and the boys and girls you could hear them laughing. You could hear them laughing outside the door. We were an absolute joke to them. And that was very, very difficult, as a 14-year-old. And the other Irish, they were 14, 15, 16 and 17. It was hard.
Yeah. Say it's one thing, unfortunately it happens in a lot of schools around the country where people are picked on and they're bullied, I suppose. And in one sense, they can go home to their mum and dad or their older brothers and sisters and get comfort there. But you're in a different country, you're 14 years of age, and who would you have went at the time about this, or did you just have to deal with it?
I didn't go anywhere. What I used to do was I used to try to confide in the other Irish girls, but they themselves were in the same situation, or I was just this annoying little thing that just kept buzzing in and out of the rooms. So I worked it out myself. I went into the studio, I used to stretch, I used to work really hard, and that was the only way I could deal with it. And I dealt with it by being better than them and by saying they're just never going to laugh at me. And I knew why they were laughing. I knew it wasn't because I was dreadful at what I was doing. I knew it was because I was different. But still, there's no excuse for that. There's no excuse for that. Even at such a young age, I knew the difference. And I wonder now how I knew the difference, but I did.
Because it's kind of strange, say, no matter whether it's football, soccer, ballet or playing music, when you're 14 or 15, being different is bad, but what you don't realise then is when you're 20, 21, that different is actually
it's where you want to be.
It's the thing that makes you different from everybody else, and that's why people would want you.
Well, one of my students, her parents came up to me and said she was being bullied in school, and this was happening to me as well before I left for Russia, so I was kind of well geared up in Russia. And I just sat her down and I said, listen, they're going to laugh. All I can say is, if I was to give advice, is have a few good phrases ready to get rid of them. Maybe rehearse them with your parents. Just a few things, like very sharp, not rude, just very, I'm too busy for you now, off you pop. Something like that. I wish I had have had somebody to kind of tell me these things, and that was the advice I gave her. And I said, these people that are laughing at you are probably going to be in the same place in 20 years' time, where God only knows where you will be.